So just do it. Let me send a message to. Never mind. Let's start off. We are live. All right. So no, it was with the server. So Assalamu alaikum, everybody. I hope you all are doing super well. Welcome to our May June IGCSE or O level computer science course. And this will be a super comprehensive course where we will be studying computer science all the way from the basics in a way where we will be teaching and understanding every concept as if you have never studied it before. So if you are someone who might have had an A star in their mocks, well and good. But if you are someone who have never ever studied computer science, not even in school or in for their mock exams or any midterms, and are just starting off with the whole course, you guys are still good to go. So you guys don't have to worry. We will be studying everything from the base and we'll be slowly dissecting every topic. So before moving on, I would like to share a bit details about me. So I'm Maz. All right. I'm currently a CS freshman at LUMS. So I'm planning on doing computer science and maybe a minor in quantum computing, which I'm not sure though whether आप लोग को पता भी होगा या नहीं, but it's something which really might be what AI was like 10, 15 years ago. So I have a top in Pakistan distinction in computer science. Let me write that too. By the way, I should have made a presentation for that, but never mind. I have a top in Pakistan distinction in IGCSE computer science, and this would be my officially second batch for this year. And this would be the last batch for the upcoming major series, which basically means that after the completion of our previous October-November batch and with the starting of this major series batch, there won't be any official starting of another batch until the next October-November session, inshallah. So we will be before moving on, it's important that you guys understand that a lot of you here would be from either the GCE O level background, so the GCE O level, which has the syllabus code of 2210, right? And then there might be a lot of students who might be taking the IGCSE syllabus component, which is 0478. I wanted to clarify that there is no difference between the IGCSE or the 047A, 2210 O level computer science course. They are 100% the same. The syllabus content are same. The content which would be taught to you guys, that would be same. The way the examiner is going to test those concepts, that's going to be the same. And the most important part is that even the exam paper for computer science is 100% going to be identical, which means that if someone of you is giving the O-level CS exam, whereas someone is giving the IGCSE CS exam, they would be having the exact same pattern. There would be no difference at all. So like this only exists for a few subjects. In my previous batch, the October-November result is yet pending. That's going to come towards 15th of December. 15th of January. So after that, you guys can follow our Instagram page to see how they've performed. But inshallah, they're expecting very well. Now, going on, we have basically, just to break up the whole concept, we have basically 10 topics in your syllabus. Okay. And among those 10 topics, you have two papers in which these 10 topics are divided. Okay, let's extend this. You have the paper 1, and then you have the paper 2. Paper 1 is basically going to be discussing the theoretical concepts of the course. So you're going to be studying the theory, which means you would be understanding how computers are working. You will be learning what's the science behind computer science, how they basically communicate with each other, how when I press a specific button on my keyboard, the computer understands it and converts it into a specific function, or maybe executes it as a specific task. How will the computer manage this specific problem that if my laptop battery is running extremely low, what type of output can it give me, or how will it be giving me a specific notification that bro, your battery is low, you need to go and plug in that charger. And just like that, we are also going to be studying concepts related to how you can stay secure over internet or from all these sort of virus attacks. And at the same time, what is the future of computer science. So we will also be dissecting into artificial intelligence and machine learning. Now, all these concepts which I just mentioned, we will be slowly dissecting more into this after like 10-15 minutes. But for now, just know that your paper one is going to be testing concepts related to your theory, which means that at the very start, we will be studying the first topic as data representation. Now, what's data representation? Data representation means that the way I'm talking, like if I'm talking to you guys, I'm using the language English, right? But computers do not understand English. Computers are basically circuits, and circuits have only two states, either on or off, right? So if I have a plug up here, I could either have it as on or as it off, right? So computer has a pretty similar language too, which has only two states, on, off. But computers do not call it maybe like a circuit or something like a board or something of that sort. They gave it the name of binary. So in chapter number one, which is basically data representation, we're going to be learning about binary. What is binary? How do you convert into binary? How do you convert into other data types like the convention number system we use and all that stuff? So we will be starting off with data representation, which is our chapter number one. Once done with that, we are going to be moving towards the second topic, which is basically data transmission. So once we understand how computers are basically communicating with each other, we're going to be dissecting into, okay, I understand computers store values in terms of binary or in terms of zeros and ones. But now how will I be sending? Walaikum assalam, Moise, how are you doing? So in the second topic, we're going to be basically studying that how you think that if I have a specific binary component of my computer, maybe some game, like for instance, I want to play Minecraft. So I have this specific map with me, which I wanted to share with, let's say, Moise. Alhamdulillah, I'm doing great. So if I want to share that with Moise, definitely if I'm sending it over the internet, the computer does not hand it over directly to him through hands, right? There is a specific procedure behind that. The procedure of how you're going to be dissecting a file into smaller chunks and then sending each of those small bits to the other user and then again joining them is all going to be discussed in our chapter number 2, which is going to be data transmission. Moving on, the third topic, which we are going to be inshallah discussing over the course, is basically going to be hardware. So have you guys ever wondered, if I have a specific mouse connected to my laptop, or maybe I have a keyboard, how do they work? Like, wow. If I want to tell computer that, bro, just record whatever I'm speaking at this point, what instrument is doing that and how is it performing that? And in what scenarios would I be requiring a specific hardware device? All this discussion is basically going to be discussed in hardware topic. Just like that, you might have heard this one word, RAM. If anybody of you is someone who plays games, you would be well aware of the word RAM. Maybe you might be that kid, like when I was like maybe 5-6 years ago, if I wanted to play some game, I used to go on that system, I don't know, requirement website, and then I used to see, okay, this game has a minimum requirement of, let's say, 8 GB RAM. And so I just had to make this comparison between what my computer had and what the game actually required. So from the very start of my life, I've been hearing the terms of Core i5, Core i7, 16 GB RAM, maybe RTX 2070. That's a pretty recent GPU, but like maybe NVIDIA GTX 1080 and all that stuff. So we're going to be studying all sort of hardware devices in chapter number 3. But chapter number 3 has to be the most longest topic out there. So a lot of times people do think that chapter number 3 is the most boring one. Why? Because you have to memorize a lot of stuff. But don't worry. Don't be scared of memorization. Memorization is not that big of a problem, because once you understand the concept in the right way, you just need to apply it. And it's not that difficult. If you don't understand the concept, you cannot easily memorize it. So this is very important, and I would highly recommend that you guys keep this in your mind, that whatever we are learning throughout the course, try to understand, try to make connections or build bridges between the concepts. So like if I'm studying something in chapter 1, how is that being related to chapter 2? And if you guys are unable to figure that out, I'm available to you all the time. You guys can reach out to me in my DMs, on my WhatsApp number, or here in the class. I would appreciate if you guys want to ask any such question. I would be more than happy to answer them. Moving on, in chapter number 4, we are basically going to be discussing that once we are done with hardware part, we have discussed how computer is storing data, how it's transferring data. how will the computer be performing the tasks which I want to do it? So like if I'm currently making these notes, I'm making this on a note taking software, right? So basically our fourth topic is basically going to be discussing softwares, which means that we will be looking into the common softwares that we have. How do they work? What is maybe an antivirus, or what is a defragmenter, or maybe how does a word processor work? Or let's say sometimes you're playing a game, or maybe you have the Google Chrome opened up and then an error comes up that it's no longer working or it's not responding. Why do such errors occur? What's the reasoning behind them? We're going to be studying all such concepts in chapter number 4. Say, so chapter number 4 is pretty much interesting. You're going to be understanding the main logic behind all these applications you have been using throughout your life, and inshallah it's going to be very, very, very engaging. Moving on, chapter number 5 will be basically discussing internet and its uses. So you might have heard the word blockchain, right? Blockchain, cryptocurrency, a digital currency. Like even at this point, if I have a specific bank app installed on my phone, I can directly be sending money to any one of you, right? Now that's digital currency. I'm not handing over any sort of money. How can I be using the internet for search purposes is basically discussed in chapter number 5. So all the usage of how internet could be implemented in today's world, alongside the uses and what possible ways can hackers or these bad people use to basically prevent you guys from having a good experience. So like maybe hacking, malware, viruses, trojans, and all those social engineering thingies. All of this stuff is also going to be discussed in your chapter number 5. And alongside that, we're also going to be learning that, bro, how can you ensure that your computer is fully secured from any sort of virus attack? How is your computer fully secured from maybe a Trojan attack? So we're going to be discussing the multiple sort of methods which the examiner have been teaching us to see and to analyze that if I want to stay protected, how will I be doing that? So all this discussion will be done, inshallah, in our chapter number 5, which is internet and its uses. And after that, the last topic for paper number 1 is basically artificial intelligence and machine learning. So it is AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. Or maybe you can say artificial intelligence and robotics. So either way, I'm just going to be counting it as AI. But this topic is basically going to be constituting of what makes a robot. What is a robot? How can you define a specific object as a robot? What is artificial intelligence? What is machine learning? What is deep learning? We're going to be dissecting into these concepts, but we won't be learning how to implement them. Like I won't be teaching you guys how you have to write a specific pseudocode or maybe Python command to maybe write or make a robot or do some expert or create an expert system. But I would be explaining the theoretical aspect of how does a specific robot work. But how does an expert system behave in a scenario where maybe they are in a workshop or maybe in an agriculture farm? So we're going to be discussing possible cases where AI could be used, where robots could be used, where machine learning, expert systems, and all these newer technology could be implemented. So we're going to be discussing all this stuff in chapter number 6. And this marks the end of your paper 1. Now your paper number 1 is basically 75 marks. Is worth 75 marks, which means that you can expect round about every one question to come in your exam, which also means that you don't have a choice to leave any of the questions in your paper. Remember, in your actual exam, you have to attempt all the questions all the way from question number 1 till whatever the end question was. Now, usually all these 6 concepts are tested. The value of the marks could differ. Maybe at some point, chapter 1 might have an 11-mark question, whereas chapter 6 might be just a 4-marker. But then the examiner always tries their best to ensure that every time you all are tested on all these concepts. So for that reason, you guys don't have to take risk at all. We need to ensure that all of these concepts are taught in the right way. Then moving on to the 7th chapter, or starting off with officially with paper number 2. Paper number 2 is basically the programming paper. Now, a lot of people are scared from paper number 2. They feel like paper number 2 is very challenging and it's something we can never do, or maybe I might lose my grade just because of paper number 2. But I want to tell you one thing. Back then, when I was giving my IGCSEs, paper number 1 got cancelled. due to political reasons. And my whole grade relied on paper number two. And I feel like that was one of the greatest things that happened to me because I cracked the actual way of acing paper two. And so I got a top in Pakistan distinction on the basis of what do we call it? Just writing the actual right pseudocode which the examiner demanded. So I aced my paper two, and in this course, I would be teaching you all the exact same method of how to ace paper number two. A lot of people do not understand that paper number two is not difficult. There's a specific way to building the base, followed by building upon that, and finally understanding how to approach that difficult 15 marker question, which I'm sure that if you have studied computer science ever before, or you might have heard it from your seniors, is something which traumatized a lot of students. But literally, it's just that you need to understand the pattern and you can easily ace the whole question. It's not difficult at all. A lot of students do not have their base built up in the right way, due to which what happens is that when they start off with their paper two, they usually mess up the 15 markers because they are like, whoa, we need to write a full command which code which basically implements multiple functions and pseudocodes and maybe like procedures, arrays, and maybe loops and all those concepts. But I'm unable to do this. Why? Because you all are not aware of how to implement each of those parts separate. So in our course, we have basically divided the remaining four topics in a way that you're going to be understanding each of those topics in the right way, in a slow manner, alongside ample amount of practice. Now, this May June series course is going to be something which I will be loving because we have a lot of time. So we have the whole of December, followed by the whole of January, followed by the whole of Feb, and then March. So the course is basically planned to stay for like 4 months, but you should be aware that you have the whole of April, followed by your exams are going to be in like around 10th May. So you have like 5 months, 10 days. So that's a lot of time. A lot of time. You guys can easily prepare for a distinction. And I expect all of you that if you follow this method, I would be looking forward to a distinction from you all. Not an A star. Aim for something high. Even if you don't get to that point, you would still be very much close. Say so. Just give it your best, and you would be doing very well, inshallah. Now, coming to that, now we will be looking at chapter number 7. Your chapter number 7 is basically programming or maybe algorithm solutions. Okay, algorithm solutions. In your algorithm solution topic, we are basically going to be learning introduction to pseudocode. I'm not sure about the distinction score for May June 2025 because they usually do not release that. But still, to be very honest, you should be scoring almost full to get a distinction. So like if you are having full marks in both of the two papers, you are getting a distinction of top in the world level. Otherwise, you can reduce 1 or 2 marks to get one in the region or maybe in the country, say. So chapter number 7, or algorithm problem solving solution and all that stuff topic, is basically going to be discussing the introduction to pseudocode. Now, this is again one question which a lot of students have been asking from me. Sir, do we need to learn Python? Or are we good to go with pseudocode? This is one thing which I would like to clarify at this point. Python is not compulsory at your level. You are only allowed to use Python in one question, which is basically your 15-mark question. And the good part is that in the same question, they have given you the permission to also make use of pseudocode. So your pseudocode is a simple way of writing programming statements in English style. So English style programming. So you can say that it's very easy because it has no strict rules. So like if I have to open up this one command, which I was like maybe doing this coding last night, let me share it with you guys. Let me just open up the right file. Just a minute. Let me open it up. Yahan pe, and then you open folder. Where did I go? It's on desktop. Just a minute. Give me like a minute. Freshman CS project. Okay. So let me share the screen. Yeah, all the topics are going to be taught, don't worry. But over these, that will be taught over the like throughout the course. So right now for the demo classes, we're just going to be starting off with chapter number 1 today, inshallah. And these demo classes are only going to be done till the next Friday. Till this Friday, my bad, till this Friday. So coming Friday, whatever, yes, all the notes for each of the topics would be shared, so you guys don't have to worry at all. So guys, look up here. So yeah, so I hope you guys can see the screen. So this was one of the code I was writing for my CS project, and you see it's pretty complex. Now you guys don't have to write any of these complex codes, but these dots are like car dot contact. What do I mean by struct? What are these special sort of parenthesis marks and all that stuff? Why? Because this thing, no, this is not Python. This is basically C++. But if you look up here, you're going to observe that all of this code is something which might be daunting, but you don't need to worry. Why? Because at your point, you are not required to learn this daunting sort of programming language. We are going to be learning the easier programming language, which we call as pseudocode. Now, what pseudocode? Pseudocode is basically if you have to write English statements, but in a programming way. So like I can say, if age is greater than 18, then output adult. So even if you are not a programmer at all, if I give you this statement, you can easily figure out that the person is trying to say that there will be something with the name of age. And if the value of that specific thing is greater than 18, then you need to basically output adult. And your whole pseudocode is just like this. You need to write English statements, but in an easier way. So for that reason, we will not be doing Python during our course at all. We will be only focusing on pseudocode, which is English style programming language. And one other thingy as to why I'm recommending pseudocode, like maybe in your schools, the teachers are teaching you Python. One other benefit of only focusing on pseudocode is that from your question number 1 till like the final 15 marker, the remaining questions are all going to be tested in pseudocode. There you don't have an option to write code in Python or any programming language. Because of that point, you always have to focus for pseudocode no matter what. So you have to focus on pseudocode. You have to work hard to ensure that you are fully capable of writing strong sort of longer pseudocode statements. And at the same time, if you're learning Python, then you have to understand the different syntax, and then that can become pretty confusing. So my one advice will be that stick to pseudocode, and we will be implementing the same advice, and we'll be only focusing on pseudocode. So moving on, in your chapter number 7, we are going to be in the chapter algorithm, problem solving, and like let's combine it, algorithm solution. In this topic, we will be understanding how do programmers basically make a program. What are the steps they're going to be following? Like, it's not like the programmer just comes up and he opens up a laptop and then he's starting to write code directly onto the terminal. It's basically a proper method. They're going to be dissecting the problem. They're going to be seeing that what type of problem are we going to be writing the code about. They're going to be making a small diagram of it. And then initially, when they understand finally at the end that, oh, I'm good to go, then they will be basically writing the actual code. And after that too, they will be testing it with different sort of data. So this alongside your basics to programming, basics to pseudocode. So after this one, I'm going to be calling it pseudocode. So introduction to pseudocode will be done in chapter number 7. Then in chapter number 8, basically we will be learning the advanced pseudocode. So that the topic has the name programming, but that topic basically will be dissecting into concepts related of how you can write pseudocode, but in an advanced way. So we won't be learning how Python works or maybe Java works or Visual Basic. Perhaps we're going to be learning that if I have to implement an advanced concept in pseudocode, how will I be doing that? So we will be understanding and further building upon the base which we earlier built on in chapter number 7. So chapter number 7 is going to tell you the exact basics, and then in chapter number 8 we're going to be understanding how those basics can be further implemented at a higher difficulty level. And once you understand both these two topics, chapter 7 and chapter 8, you would be capable of solving around 70% of the paper easily. So like 70 to 80% of the paper would be immediately done. No need to worry at all. So much. Continuing with that, in your chapter number 9, we will be talking about databases. So I'm not sure though, but if you ever have you guys ever heard the word data analyst? I know 70% paper comes from the combination of chapter number 7 and chapter number 8. So both of these two topics are basically combined together in multiple scenarios, and they do make around 70% of your paper. So have you guys ever heard the word data analyst? Or maybe a lot of people are also doing data science. You might have heard this word, right? Yes, exactly. Now, what does data science mean, or maybe data analysis? It is basically that you have a lot of data and then you're trying to implement a code to get a specific sort of data from a table. So your chapter number 9 or databases is also going to be discussing the same concepts, where we are basically going to be learning how you can store data in a table. And if I have to get a specific sort of data and analyze it, how will I be doing that? So your chapter number 9 will be teaching you stuff about tables, databases, and the programming language, which basically it's not a programming language though, but the specific language which should be used to analyze and fetch data from a table. We will also be learning that. That is basically known as SQL, or it's basically written as SQL. Okay, so it's written as SQL, but it's pronounced as SQL, but you can also call it SQL. Okay, no matter what, whatever you go with, it's perfectly fine. And even at this point, if you go and search on Google Chrome SQL, you're going to see that SQL is an actual thing. So if you learn the SQL language in chapter number 9, do understand that this is something which a lot of actual data scientists also master over time. And a lot of these topics, the one which I've been discussing previously and also the one which I've been just discussing in paper number 2, they are 100% going to be identical in AS level computer science. So if anybody of you is planning on taking computer science in their AS level, do know that a lot of these topics are going to be 100% same. So you might be like, oh sir, we are already done like with 50% of AS concepts too. Yes, you are, because a lot of these concepts are just similar. So done with that, the final topic, or maybe perhaps the most easiest topic in your whole syllabus, is logic gates. So earlier on, you might have heard me saying that in chapter number 1, I talked about how your computer is basically circuit. So you have a specific circuit, and then it can either be on or it could be off, right? It has one of these two states. But what allows it to basically implement this circuitry, or the way how we can make these circuits, will be discussed in chapter number 10, which is logic gates. So we will be building multiple sort of circuits. We will be having no, my channel does not have any content related to logic gates at this point. So we're going to be understanding what logic gates is. We're going to be understanding how you can build multiple sort of circuits among different components. What are those connecting devices used? And now this might seem pretty much difficult, but really it is the most easiest topic out there, and it is very very fun. And if anybody of you is basically planning on pursuing electrical engineering, this is the exact thing which you would be doing over your university life, say. So you will, or maybe throughout your whole life, you'll be playing with these circuits and with these logic gates. So you see that at this point, after chapter number 10, your whole IGCSE or O level computer science course has been completed. So this means that you're fully good to go. You have completed the whole syllabus, and just by observing the titles written at this point, do you guys think the course is long? No, it's not. It's pretty short. You have just 4 topics for paper number 2, and I missed telling this one point, that your paper number 2 is also of 75 marks, which means that again you don't have the chance of messing up any of these 4 topics, and just like that, any of these 6 topics. So we are going to be, inshallah, starting off with the very first topic, which is data representation, and then we will be slowly moving on towards the end of chapter number 6, and we'll be then shifting towards paper number 2. Paper number 1 is a lot, 1 hour 45 minutes. Yes, both of the papers are of 1 hour 45 minutes. But the reality is that once you start practicing, you will be very much good to go. Even like in really, you can solve the whole paper in like 40 minutes. I really remember that when I was preparing for my exam, I could like literally complete the whole P1 in 35 minutes. And I can assure you that if you guys are willing to work hard and are willing to give it your best, you guys can also be at the same place, because this concept, the questions which the examiner test, they are not difficult at all. It's pretty much very straightforward. Before moving on, do you guys have any questions at this point? And I also want to share one thing with you. So before, I'm just going to be loading that, and you guys can send up your questions. Easy. All right. So no questions? All right, no worries. So let's continue. Until then, I hope my specific one surprise for you guys. They would that would be also prepared. It's okay. It's working. All right. So one question is that will there be a homework of test sections? Test sessions. Yeah, we're gonna come to that. Don't worry. We're gonna discuss all of that in great detail. See. So now, at this point, before moving on, I want to discuss how many marks do you need to get an A star. See, so usually my advice would be that if you're scoring 120 plus, that's a good score to get that A star. Now, again, this really changes based upon the difficulty of the exam paper, but usually if you're scoring 120 plus out of 150, you're very much good to go. And 120 out of 150 means that you need to score at least 60 plus in both papers. And I can show you that once you start understanding the concepts, getting 60 plus is not that difficult. It's just that you need to understand the concept in the right way. But again, because we are not aiming for an A star, perhaps we are aiming for a distinction. At this point, you all have to make a promise with yourself that you won't be satisfied with a 121 out of 150. You need to get a perfect 150 by 150. And so even if you don't get a 150 by 150, I can definitely say that you would be close to around 138, 140, 149, or maybe like 145. And all of these marks are way better than scoring a 120. So aim high, and you guys would be very much, inshallah, good to go. So uh, now, before moving on, I also wanted to discuss this one thing. Why do you guys should study CS? Like, what's the reasoning behind why should you all be studying computer science? Is it that it's engaging, or is it that you want to pursue computer science? What if a person among all of us here is from a biology background? Why should you be studying computer science? A lot of students do ask this question. And for that, I have this one answer. I wanted to share this one video with you. It's just going to load up in like a minute or so. So till then, we are going to be addressing the question stated by Moise. So how will the course be approached? So listen up. We are basically going to be having 5 classes over the week, all the way from Monday till Friday. The class timings are going to stay the same. So it's going to be 9 to 10 p.m. inshallah. And these classes are going to be covering the course content. See, so all the course content would be initially taught. So like if we start with chapter number 1 tonight, if we had time, otherwise with like tomorrow onwards, we are first going to be covering up the whole course content. So all the material in the book, or the way your syllabus is teaching the whole concept, maybe any sort of extra diagrams or explanation of any concept that is related to that topic. We are first going to be ensuring that that is fully delivered in the right way. Once done with that, we are going to be moving towards a topical class. In the topical class, we are basically going to be doing past paper questions. So I would be basically conducting a class where I would be doing multiple past paper questions for you all. We're going to see how much we can do in a specific class, but we're going to try to do as many as possible. And now the good point is that you all would be added to our specific conceptuals academy portal, and at the same time you would be given a Google Classroom access at my end. And on that specific portal, you would be having access to previous topical classes too. So we're going to be conducting one class per topic, which would be done live in the class. Eh? And followed by that, there are around 1 to 3 classes which have been recorded. So you would have an access to around 1 to 3 recorded classes. And once you watch those 3 to 4 classes, I can assure you that the whole topic would be perfectly clear. And still, if you guys have always any sort of problem or queries, you can always reach out to me. So don't need to worry. You guys have to just stay chill, and inshallah, everything would be very much good to go. Followed by once we have conducted the topical class and we are done with the whole topic, assuming that you all have completed the content, have taken the topical classes, have watched these extra recorded lectures, which are optional, but I would 100% recommend every student to watch them. I would be giving you guys some practice questions. Now, these practice questions would be marked. It's not like it's going to be your test or an assignment. I do not like to call them a test or an assignment. These practice questions are only there for one purpose. Firstly, to understand that have you guys understood the whole concept in the right way first, and then secondly, do you the answers, write the answers according to what the examiner expects, what the examiner expects. So, like when I started my previous course, October, November 1, I understood that when I took the first practice quiz, let's call it a quiz, like these practice questions, a lot of times the students were trying to explain the concepts in the right way, but they were not using the right vocabulary, or maybe they were explaining stuff which the examiner did not require. Or even though there was a point where I also observed that the answer to a specific question would have been very straightforward, but the student for no reason expanded upon it. Now, all these tips about how to approach a specific question, how to write the perfect answer according to marking scheme and according to the examiner would be basically taught in these practice questions. So you will be having access to a Google Classroom where the document will be uploaded. And once the document is uploaded, you would be given a specific deadline, maybe like 3 4 days, or maybe sometimes 5 days, depends upon the length of the question bank. And then once you have completed that, you have to take a picture of it and you would be uploading it back onto a Google Classroom portal, and then you would be given a proper feedback by our team. So our team will be including grading TAs too. So me alongside them would be basically overlooking the answers you wrote. We will be giving you marks and would be providing a perfect feedback. So let me give you just a quick example of how this is basically going to be conducted. Let me see if I have some sample up here, and then we can see कि क्या करना है. Just a minute. Test. Okay, test and worksheet. So chapter number 1, review the work. Let me review the work for this specific test. And so let me present something else. Window. All right. So at this point, you see this is one of the assignments which one of our students did earlier on. Say, yeah, for the October November session. And you're going to be uploading the document like this. Now he did it digitally. Even if you do it like on a paper, that's also totally fine. And I would be basically marking all of them and would be giving you a perfect mark according to the examiner report and maybe according to the marking scheme. And alongside that, whatever you get wrong, I would be explaining all of them up here. So like in this question number 2, these were the mistakes. In question number 3, even if you might have been awarded a mark, you see your sentence is pretty general and vague, but a mark will be awarded as per me. Next time, be specific. Say a better answer would have been talking about how there could have been an interference issue. And just like the question number 3C, why did the person get 3 out of 5 and not 5 of 5? So we will be having these specific question practice sessions, which are there only for the purpose of you all to understand how to write the perfect answer. Because content could be done by you guys too. So like if you have your book with you, you can understand the concepts. But these small tips on how to write the answer in the right way is what will be making you all different from a normal A-star kiddo if you are aiming for that distinction. Okay? So this will be the exact format followed for all of our topics. We will be starting from the content, we'll be then moving towards topical classes, and then after that we will be conducting practice questions. And we would be repeating this for the whole paper 1. And in paper number 2, because it's a bit different, we will be first understanding the course content. And the course content itself would be including past paper questions or like scenario based question. So past paper question or example questions. So you can assume that while doing the course content for chapter number 7 and 8, we would be doing ample amount of questions alongside that. So that once we are completed, you all are fully prepared to ace your exams. So yeah. And just like above, we will also be providing you guys with practice questions and any sort of supplementary resources. So what are those common diagrams which you might be requiring for to learn and apply a specific concept. So if anybody of you were taking the topical classes which I conducted over the last month, you would have seen that a lot of questions were there related to making diagrams. So I have a specific document which I would be sharing with all the kids, that what are the diagrams you all should be well aware of and all that stuff. So yeah, so Faizan is saying, well, will we do revision when the course is finished? No. This course is planned in a way that you would be having the access to all the recordings. So till your May June series, you would be having access to all the recordings, inshallah. So yeah, and so it's up to you guys as to how to revise the concept. I would be teaching the concept and would be giving you guys and would be conducting practice question sessions and would be also doing practice, giving you guys practice question bank, and then I would be marking that too. But then if you guys feel like that a specific topic is weak, it's up to you as to how to revise it. You guys can do it through the book, or you guys can also rewatch the lecture, because all of these lectures would be uploaded on that specific portal. Samajh gaye? Apart from that, once this course has been completed, we would be launching our past paper course. So in that, I would be basically solving past paper questions and would be revising the course alongside that. So if you anybody of you wants to opt for that later on, उसके अंदर भी आप लोग की course की revision हो जाएगी. But for now, do know that there won't be any sort of revision of any concept taught earlier on. Whatever has been done won't be repeated, and you all would be having access to the recordings, so you guys can watch that. And definitely, if you don't get a specific thing in the recordings or maybe in a live class, you can always reach out to me later on and we can figure it out somehow. Say, now this has been fully done. Now there was this one video which I wanted to share with you guys. Say, so just give me a minute. Let me screen share it to that specific website. Look up here. Why should you guys be studying computer science? Why? Because of this one reason. I just gave AI a small prompt to make a video, and that video will be talking about how I'm Mars and I'm going to be your CS teacher, and we're going to be having a lot of fun. Let's watch the video together. I haven't seen it too.
Hey, I am Maz, and I am your computer science teacher. Together, we will have fun.
Now look up here. Literally, this video was made with a prompt that took me like maybe 10 seconds. I did nothing. I just gave it a command and it created a video, which is pretty much something which can also result in like a lot of these animated movies. So a lot of animated movies might have animations like this. Now, when you're studying computer science, we're going to be dissecting into what the future holds. So all these concepts are going to help you to make the future, which means that even if you're going into medicine, into law, or whatever field, you will be bringing in some sort of concept of CS into that specific part. So this one video should be a motivation for you all as to how CS has become very powerful and important for all of us. So even if you're someone who is just here for fun today, do know that CS is something which would always be helping you out. Because no matter what, now I can't share the other stuff, but if you look up here at the top left, I've basically been asking Gemini about all my exam related stuff. So like how to prepare for a specific thingy, summarize a specific document and all that stuff. So computer science is always there to help you guys. And this should be the motivation behind why you should be studying computer science. Samajh gaye? Acha, Mohit is saying, can we join the course in January? But the thing is, I would recommend that you guys should start from now. If you have any sort of midterm examinations going on, you guys can take the classes till your midterms. And then if during mids you don't want to take the class, you can watch the recording later on. But if you're planning on joining it in January, do know that while you would be provided with the recording access, and you can definitely do that, the content discussed till the 1st of January might include the first two topics, which I don't want you guys to miss on. So even if your mocks or mids are starting from like the 10th of December and goes till like 22nd, you would be only missing on content of 2 weeks, which could be literally done very quickly. But if you miss the whole month's content, then catching up would be very challenging. So my advice would be that you guys should start off with the course right now. Just take all the classes till your mids or whatever mocks you have. And if you feel like that you cannot take a class on a specific day, don't worry, you can take it off. And then after your mids are done, you can quickly watch the recordings. And if you have any sort of question, you can always reach out. So now continuing with that, अब आपके हमने ये भी देख लिया what is course content, what past paper examples are we going to be doing. This is basically how our course is basically going to be structured. So before moving on, the whole course will be done in 3.5 months, which means that as per our plan, the course will be starting from 1st of December, inshallah, and ideally be going till 15th of March. A lot of students have their final mids or final mock examinations in mid-March, so you would be fully prepared to ace those. If not, so we would be having extra sessions. And by extra sessions, I mean that we usually do not appreciate missing classes. So if I'm not available on a specific day and I cancel the class, do know that a specific what do we call it, like if I miss a class for a specific reason, I would be holding the class later on a weekend. So you can expect extra classes on weekend, even though that won't be something regular. But if a class has been missed, or if any one of you needs some sort of an extra support with a specific topic, we can have a meeting scheduled over weekends too, which would be again something done in discussion with all of the children as to what time suits all of them. So yeah, Rayan, if your mocks are in late February, we will be ensuring that you have a pretty good preparation till this point, but the course will be ending towards mid-March, which means that at this point your aim should be to ace the Cambridge examinations. But don't worry, even if your mocks are like towards end of February, by end of February your whole paper one will be done, inshallah, and you would be most probably done with some crucial paper two concepts too. So you would be very much good to go to clear up your mocks and then lock in to like literally ace your CI exams. Samajh gaye? So with that, do you have any sort of questions, or should we have a general introduction to the very first topic? Any questions, or should we just move on? The course is going to end at like towards by 15 March, we would be done with the course content, and then the actual course is basically going to be stopping on the 1st of April. So like from 1st of April in the next 15 days, so like from 15 March till 1st of April, 50, oh my bad. So like from your 15th March period till 1st of April, we would be doing past paper questions. So that would be explicitly exclusive to all the registered credits only. We would be doing like maybe revision of some crucial concepts. We would be doing topical questions. We might even do some like paper two whole papers to understand the programming or pseudocode implementation and all that stuff. So we're going to be doing all that together in the remaining 15 days. So now, given that we have addressed most of the questions, I would just want to officially start off in the last 10 minutes of the class regarding the first topic, which is data representation. So now, whenever you have heard the word computer science, you might have seen the value zeros and ones. So maybe in those movies like Matrix, you might have seen repeated commands like 010000110011. And if you are someone who might not have had a computer science background, you might have been thinking that this is something related to hacking. But bro, this is so cool that I can talk to a specific thingy in terms of zeros and ones. But the good part is that inshallah in these coming classes, we're going to be understanding how can you write a specific statement in zeros and ones? How can you translate those statements back to numbers? What are these zeros and ones actually? And what's the logic behind all of this? Now, tell me one thing. Have you ever wondered how computers work? How computers work? Any guesses in the chat box? Your time starts now. I will be counting till 5, and if there are no responses, I'm going to be giving you my opinion on it. All right. So if you guys have no idea, no worry. Okay, Faizan is saying on zeros and ones. Okay, Faizan, you're correct, zeros and ones. But what basically is the logic behind zeros and ones? So the real answer to this is that your computer is built on circuits. See, your computer is built on circuits. So you have hundreds and thousands of circuits connected together. What is a circuit? Maybe because given that you all are giving computer science exam, a lot of you might also be having physics in their school, right? So in your physics exam paper content, you would have studied something like this, right? So it's a bulb, and then up here there might be a switch. And we call this combination as a circuit. Now you can turn this circuit on. Okay, Moise is saying CPU. No, it's not CPU either. It's basically circuits. And why is it circuit? I'm coming to that. So your computers are basically built from these smaller chunks of circuits, which perform a specific task. Now, if you have a circuit like this, tell me one thing. What are the possible things I can do with this? I could either turn it on or I could do turn it off, right? Either on or off. इसके बगैर तो कोई ऑप्शन नहीं है ना. There is no intermediate option. Either I can bring this whatever switch down to complete the wire, and the current is going to flow, and this light bulb is going to glow up. Or what I can do is I can turn this off and the light vanishes, right? Computers operate in a pretty similar way because you have combinations of thousands of such circuits. And because the circuits only have the value of on or off, your computer also have the language which understands only the instructions of on or off. So because writing on or off isn't something easy, and because our computers are not something which can understand English, like for instance in Urdu it might be on को हम क्या बोलते हैं, जलाना या फिर मे बी लाइट को बंद करना, and maybe in English it's on or off, right? So for computers, scientists came up with the logic of introducing the values 1 and 0. They said that if a specific circuit within computer has to be turned on, we will call that circuit to have a value of 1. And just like that, if a specific circuit is turned off, then this means that it has the value of 0. So if I say that I'm basically having this one wire, there is this one wire, a circuit like this, or maybe not a circuit, maybe a button like this, okay? And then we have a bulb connected up here. And now to this bulb, okay, my bad. To this bulb, there is a keyboard connected, or maybe whatever input you have, which can either take the input as 1 or as 0. So now if I create, like, this might be like my basic circuit, right? This is my basic circuit. It has what do we call it, a switch followed by a wire connected to a bulb. Now on my switch, if I pass the value of 1 to it, this is going to indicate that bro, turn on this circuit, which means that the bulb is going to light up. But then after this has been done, the second command comes in, which is basically saying 0. 0 basically means that, bro, you need to turn off this switch. So this light vanishes. And what if I'm like, no, bro, after this, I again want to turn it on. I pass in a 1 after it. It is again going to turn the light on. But now this is a pretty generalized model as to how a computer might be working. In reality, you don't have one circuit. You have millions of circuits. So what if I'm saying that there is this one circuit which I created up here, which is turning on the slide, and at the same time, there is one other component which might be like a fan. So I might have like a fan up here. I know this does not look like a fan, but still you guys can just assume that this is a fan. Okay, this is a fan. Now what if I'm like, okay, if I'm passing the value of 1 0 0, this means turn on this lamp and turn off the fan. But if I'm doing like something 0 1 0, this means turn on fan and turn off bulb. Turn off bulb. But this was like turn on bulb and turn off fan. And if I have something like 1 1 1, this means turn on both. So now if a person gives the input of turn, if I, let's say, want to turn on the fan as well as the bulb, what will be my input? How will I explain this to the computer? I'll be saying that, bro, 1 1 1. Now the computer will be like, okay, 1 1 1 indicates a specific combination of circuitry in a way where it is indicating that you have to turn on this wire, and at the same time you also want to turn on this wire, eventually resulting in your fan to work perfectly fine. But then you're like, no, 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 no. Out of nowhere, Rayan comes in, and Rayan is telling Faizan now that Faizan, stop. I'm feeling cold. I don't want the fan to be turned on. And then he's like, okay, you can pass in on a command which turns off the fan, but the bulb should stay on because I have to study. And then Rayan is like, okay, let me pass in 001. Now 001 is again a specific command which goes to the computer. And because computer is based on circuitry, the input 001 will be used to demonstrate, okay, what type of switch do I need to turn on, what switch do I need to turn off. Now this is a general example. It's not like 001 is always to turn off a fan or a turn on a bulb. It's just a made up example just to explain that if I have a specific value inputted into the computer, that value is basically converted into zeros and ones, and based on those zeros and ones, the computer are going to be making decisions by switching on a specific circuit. So it can maybe switch on one circuit or switch off the other circuit. So it can be like, okay, bro, you want to switch that off. So it might not switch this part off, but it will be like, okay, let me switch this off. And it's no longer working. And so now this lost its power, but that's working. Now what's happening up here? It's basically a different, you can say, set of combinations for how a circuit could be set up for a specific circuit. So like it could be turned on, it could be turned off. What if I want both of them to be on? What if I want all of them to be off? And this is again a basic model because we only have two components. But have you ever opened up your whole computer? So like, let me show you guys one image. See a laptop. इसको क्या बोलते हैं? Laptop opened up, maybe. Okay, yeah. So let me share this one picture with you. It's, by the way, from some website with the name, whatever this blog is, but let's also give them their rights. So I'll be writing the full name up here, but look at this one image. What do you guys see? This is a laptop which was which was basically opened so that it could be modified, so that its cooling could be improved, right? It's written up here. But if you focus on the image, it's not like a plain board has been set up. All these thingies, these small chunks, are basically thousands of circuits. So you have like thousands of circuits in a small chunk, and they have been basically interconnected with each other through wires. And by connecting them with each other through these wires, we have a computer formed up. And now when I press some button on the keyboard, so like if I'm pressing the button M, and I'm like, okay, bro, M is used to turn off my fan. Then this means that my computer will be converting this M first into the language which it understands. How will that be done? That would be something we are going to be studying in our upcoming classes, but it will be converting this M into this 01, sorry, not 010, into 001. So the whole process will be like, okay, we're getting the input of 1 M. This has been converted into 001. And now this 001 will be understood by the computer to turn off the fan. And this is the exact model which even computers created today, or whatever electronics you have, are making use of. And this also explains why your computer always have one of these two. Using ADC, again, Moise, that is something which would be discussed later on. So abhi ke liye, it's not something jo ki aap logon ne sochna hai. And again, ADC is something which has not to be mentioned in chapter number 1, 2. This is just a general introduction as to how computers might be working, because a lot of students might not be even aware of how computers work. So I'm not sure though how many of you might have had this idea of computers being totally built up on circuits. And the purpose of why I told you this is that by operating on circuits, we get the logic behind why are we studying binary. Because this on and off, or 1 or 0, is now known as the binary notation. So like the way we say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, this conventional number system, this is like known as this has been given a number, a specific name, like the conventional number system. But if the computer has a specific conventional number system, it is only having the state 1 and 0. And now computer scientists gave this state the name of binary. For the reason that our computer is made up of multiple circuits which can only understand either one or a zero, we in our chapter number one will be fully dissecting into what binary is, how we will be making use of it, where will it be implemented, where not, how to convert it between different states, and everything regarding how does a computer understand data. So your data representation topic will be basically discussing how does the computer understand understand data. And with that, we will be officially marking the end of our today's class. We had a general introduction into our course, followed by a general overview of what and how computers work. Inshallah, in tomorrow's class, we will be starting off with how binaries are converted into other number systems, what are number systems, how are we going to be making use of it, what conversions are we supposed to learn, and all that stuff. So, before ending the class, is this perfectly clear, or do you guys have any sort of questions? I'm never running late, so if there are questions, I would highly appreciate that you guys ask them so that we could address each of them. If not, that's great to know, Faizan and Moise. That's really great to know. Saifullah, do you have any questions, or any other students who have any sort of questions? All right, seeing none, that's the end of our today's class. I hope it was a good learning experience and you all are now well aware of what the IGCSE or O-level computer science syllabus has to offer and how we are going to be carrying it throughout our course. Um, the registration link has been shared in the group. These demo classes are only going to be conducted till Friday, and please know that if you are willing to continue with us, you should go and fill out that form so that our TA could add you in our registered students group. All right, with that, I'll be ending the recording, and the recording would be available on our YouTube channel too.